start today's message with this. And I want y'all to hear my heart. There's going to be a lot of transparency that's said and shared today. But we're going to get somewhere with it. The best thing that God ever did in my life, next to my salvation, was send me a Fanika friend. Every husband in the room, that should be your same declaration. That I just didn't marry a woman, I married favor. I just didn't get a fine boo. God upgraded everything in my life. And I married favor. I would not be the man that I am today unless God sent me a woman that he crafted in the person of Fanika friend. That if her hair is going 90 north, or if it's laid like it is today, she's got insight to the heart of God for our family, for our future. And I'm telling you, God has opened doors for me that had nothing to do with my gift. It had everything to do with my favor. Every husband in here, you got to make this declaration. I married up. Like, I want to hear the men real quick just shout, I married up. Like, y'all, I was busted and disgusted. I couldn't dress for my life. The woman of God upgraded everything about me. I married up. I married. Did you marry up, Chris? We married up. So for men that are still looking, don't look for fine, look for favor. This ain't even where the message is supposed to go today. This ain't where I am. I said, don't just look for fine, look for favor. I need somebody that when they walk in the room, the favor of God is. I don't need you just to be beat. I need to know that when you show up on my side, the favor of God is with me because I found you. I don't just marry for hips and thighs and none. I met you married for everybody shout favor, favor, favor. If you with your wife right now, I mean, just give her a hug and just tell her thank you for being my favor. Thank you for. Whew. So can y'all help me thank God as we welcome Pastor Fanika out here this morning? I mean, let's just stand and honor the woman of God. Yeah, no. She got so much favor, they brought pillows with her name on them today. Lord have mercy. Ain't no LaBryant pillow. It's all Fanika friend, lashes and all. So today we are opening up a new message series. And the name of the series is about to come on the monitors in a second. It's called Into the Wild. A series on navigating uncharted spaces. Now, how many of you all are currently in a season where you like, I ain't ever been this way before? Now, God, I have seen a lot, but I ain't never seen this before. How many of y'all like this feels strange? This looks strange? Like, over the next 5 weeks, my prophetic, really apostolic responsibility is to redefine the wilderness for you. The wilderness was never meant to kill you. it was meant to prepare you. Y'all do see even on the picture, on the other side of the wilderness is a promise. And I'm telling you, without a wilderness, there is no promise. What God will do is take you through a season you don't like to prepare you for a day you've been praying for. And just because it looks like the wilderness now, there's something God's gonna do in me while he takes me down a road that I did not want to travel. My declaration is yes, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm in the wilderness, but you are with me. Your rod and your staff is comforting me. You're preparing a table before me in the presence of my enemies. My cup is about to overflow. That surely goodness and mercy are following me all the days. And I'm in the wilderness, but I'm going to dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
He's making ways in the wilderness. He's making rivers in the desert. You are the way in the wilderness. You are the river in the desert.
One more time, he's making ways.
He's making ways in the wilderness.
You are the way.
You are the way in the wilderness.
You're the river.
You're the river in the desert.
I feel like this is what somebody, he's making ways.
He's making ways in the wilderness. He's making rivers in the desert.
You are the way.
You are the way in the wilderness.
You're the river.
You're the river in the desert.
So over these next several weeks, my responsibility is to make sure you don't curse your wilderness. That every man, every woman that God built to do great things, he always took them by the way of the wilderness to get them there. Sometimes it's a desert, sometimes it's a strange place, sometimes it's a season you did not request. But there's always promise on the other side of uncharted territory. Now, real quick, y'all, and I've got a lot I gotta say, but I want you to just pull one neighbor and say, you're not going back. You're not going back. You're not going back. Because sometimes when it looks uncertain, back seems like the easiest route. But I'm declaring over you, there is no reversal in what God is calling you to do. You're not going backwards. You're not. I feel this in the room. You are not going backwards. You are not going back to what you knew. You're not going back to the familiar. You're not going back to what seemed easy. God has taken you the hard way. He's taken you the long way, because the promise that's coming is bigger than you expected. I'm telling you, you cannot return to Egypt. The promised land is waiting for you. Can't go backwards. Can't go back. You can't go back. You can't go backwards. So, can't go backwards. Can't go backwards. Anywhere, just shout it. Anywhere but back. Anywhere. You are not about to return to what you've been delivered from. I'm not really I'm about to get to my word. But you are not about to return to what God brought you. God did too much work to get you out of it, and I declare you are not going back to what his hand snatched you up out of. Who am I talking to that know it may have taken God 3 years to snatch you out, but when you got out of that thing, you knew you were, and I cannot go back. I can't. Anywhere but backwards. Anywhere. These musicians are about to push me over the edge. Anywhere but backwards. Anywhere but behind. He's pushing you forward. Now, the hard thing about going forward is that forward is often unfamiliar. You know what yesterday looked like, but you don't have a clue of what tomorrow holds. And so it's easy to return to what you knew. What happens when God is calling you into the unknown? Uncharted territory, spaces that you've never seen before.
Before your presence came and changed me.
But your declaration's gotta be, I can't go back.
I won't go back, can't go back to the way it used to be. Before your presence came and changed me.
One more time, and I want you all to shout it with them.
I won't go back, can't go back to the way it used to be. Before your presence came and changed me.
I'm never going back.
I won't go back, can't go back to the way it used to be. Before your presence came and changed me.
So today's message, and I just want you all to hear this clearly. I brought my good reader up with me. Y'all may not know this, but Vanika grew up Catholic-Costal Kojic. She got a whole lot mixed in here. There's some Catholic, there's some Pentecostal, there's some Baptist, there's a little bit of everything.
Never going back to the way it was.
Y'all shout it never.
Never going back.
Y'all gonna get this word today, never going back. One way or the other.
Never going back to
We're gonna get it. One more time. One more time. Never going back.
never going back. Never going back. Never going back to the way it was.
So God is taking you through some uncharted territory. How many of y'all this whole year has felt unfamiliar? Like I have never been this way before. And it feels like it's more fog than there is clarity. There's a whole lot of uncertainty. There are uncharted waters. But I'm about to have Vanika's going to read a passage over you. We're going to have a conversation. Y'all going to get some insight and just by way of conversation with us. We're going to preach and talk. But Vanika, I need your good reader voice. I don't need you reading like Lele. I don't need a whisper. I need conviction in the room as you read these scriptures. Convict. Don't do Lele. Convict. Let's go.
Exodus 13:17. When Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them along the main road that runs through Philistine territory.
Now stop. Ooh, I felt some old school, but like y'all grew up in that church. You read 3 lines. All right, stop. Like here it is. Here it is. Y'all, congratulations. God did not take you the easy way. It would have been easy for God to shortcut you and let you get there quick. He did not take. How many of y'all have felt that though this whole year? Like this don't feel easy. How many of y'all have been praying for your soft life and your soft life feel real agitated, got some ridges and it ain't soft at all, right? He didn't take the easy way. Go ahead.
Even though that was the shortest route to the promised land, God said, if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. 18. So God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. Thus the Israelites left Egypt like an army ready for battle.
How many of y'all have felt this year like he just taking me roundabout? Like I got a promise, but I feel like I'm just going in circles around everything. Like I feel like I'm going the roundabout way. Go ahead.
19. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel swear to do this. He said, God will certainly come to help you. When he does, you must take my bones with you from this place.
Y'all want to know why they needed the bones? The bones were the representation of the history with God. So I may be in a new journey, but I got old bones with me. Here it is. I got history. How many of y'all got just a little bit of history with God? Here is my thing. The only reason I know he's going to bring me through right now is because my history tells me he's always done it. He's never taken me through a season he could not bring me through. Everybody shout, I got history.
The Israelites left Succoth and camped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. 21. The Lord went ahead of them. He guided them during the day with a pillar of cloud, and he provided light at night with a pillar of fire.
I need somebody to shout real quick. He's gone ahead of me. Only God can walk with me and be ahead of me at the same time. I'm really trying. I'm trying not to make this too church, but it would only be God to go ahead of me, but still walk with me the whole way, right? He's with me, but he's also ahead of me. Like he's there to comfort. He's got a pillar of cloud and a fire by night, but he's already gone ahead of me. Everybody shout, he's gone ahead of me. Like he's already in your future. He's already in your tomorrow. He's already knows what's mapped out for your next. It's uncharted for you, but it's very familiar for him. Go ahead.
This allowed them to travel by day or by night. And the Lord did not remove the pillar of cloud or pillar of fire from its place in front of the people.
Okay. So for the next few minutes, I'm talking to you from an idea we're calling God moves. Everybody shout, God moves. And of course, over the next couple weeks, we're going to be redefining the wilderness. That the wilderness is preparation for the promise. That God will take you through a season you do not like to prepare you for a promise you've been praying for. Here's the thing. God moved, God moves, and God is moving. He was in my history, he's in my today, and he's going to be in my tomorrow. But here's what I've discovered. Sometimes God's best move is not a move, it's a pivot. How many of y'all have prayed to God to move you to a new job, to move you to a new city, to move you to new relationships? And he didn't move you to another job. He just moved you in that same space to another position, right? Because he still saw purpose for you in a place that you were ready to abandon. Sometimes the thing God does best is not move you from what you don't like, but pivot you in the middle of it so that you can see it. Now, I got to do an illustration. All right, no. This is actually you. Got to do an illustration. I know we didn't talk about it. Here it is. No. Leave your heels on. Leave them on. Leave your little heels on. Y'all, Amana, as many of you all know, my third daughter is a pretty amazing basketball player. She's pretty good at what she does. She's going to be a monster, but it's in the blood, right? Yeah.
That's I don't
When,
even know what we're doing. But
when I say it's in the blood, I mean from her father's side. I just want to be clear. It's in the blood from her father's side. Her aunt played D1 basketball. I've played basketball all my life. I just recently retired. I had a 15-year-old retire me on the 4th of July. I won the game, but he retired me. I didn't lose, but I did get retired. I probably won't pick up another ball for the rest of my life, right? But Fanika has this narrative that she taught Amana how to play basketball. It's this running narrative.
I did.
Come here, Dylan. You can throw it. I got it.
I had it.
You did not have it. So we were living, and this is all going to tie into the message. We were living in. We just give you your ball. we had just recently moved. I got to get into this message. We just recently moved to the Atlanta area, and Amana was starting to train for basketball, and Fanika had this idea that all I need is a whistle, and if I get a whistle, I can take her out to the court, and I can teach her how to play. Now, mind you, this favor that God gave me has never played basketball a day in her life.
I watched. I went on YouTube.
Okay. So what I want you to do? Go ahead, Fanika. Get up. Go ahead. You ready? Y'all, I'm going somewhere with this, I promise you. Go ahead. Go ahead, dribble. Okay. Okay. Now, we're not going to talk about the fact she just double dribbled 3 times. We're just going to let it slide. We're going to let it slide that she picked the ball up literally and put it in her hands, then dribbled again. Okay, come here, come closer. Dribble. Okay, go ahead, keep dribbling. Okay, you've stopped dribbling. There's nothing you can do.
I can pivot.
Do you know how to? The problem is, the woman of God pivots and starts dribbling again. That's not how the game works. Give me the ball. I'm trying to get somewhere in the message. Come on, dribble. Okay, you stopped. There's nothing you can do. For many of you in life, you've reached a place where it feels like nothing's moving. And so you've allowed your feet to stay stuck because you didn't see what your next move could be. Ready? Go. Okay. Go back. Yep.
Same leg.
Please take this. Please give me the ball. Please. Come here. All right, come here. Ready? All right. All right. My dribble has stopped. My power is not in my ability to move anymore. My power is in my ability to pivot. All right, pivot. Everybody shout pivot. The power in the pivot is this. No matter where I move, one foot stays planted. I can go anywhere as long as this one foot stays planted. I want y'all to get this. don't care if it seems like life has stopped. As long as your foot is planted in him, you can always pivot into your next thing. Listen, I don't care if that well dried up. Everybody shout, I still got one more pivot. I got to pivot. And as long as my foot stays planted, I can pivot into anything. What I believe for many of you all, God is doing is about to take you into what we're calling a painless pivot. Some things are about to change drastically in a good way. But if I shout, it's going to be a painless pivot. Now, Fanika, since she's been my favor, has really lived all over the country with me. All right. What did you love the most about Tucson? What did you love the most about Tucson? What did you love the most about you? You should have been. You were ready for this. I told you this one. What did you love the most about Tucson, Arizona? You can be honest.
It never rained. I hated it.
You said you hated it there. Would you say your favorite part was when it was time to go?
Yes.
Now, I want you to tell the peoples of God, because we was there for how many years?
5 years.
What did God say to you in year 3?
That until I'm all in here, he cannot give us our next move. I want to declare for you real quick, maybe your wilderness has been a wilderness as long as it's been a wilderness because God ain't got your whole heart in it yet. What if God has just been waiting to get your whole heart in the thing? It's like, I can't move you till you're completely bought into what I'm doing in this, because hear me, you're gonna need everything you're in now to prepare you for what I'm about to take you into next. And until I can convince you that you need this season you don't like, you're gonna find yourself crying about what I won't change. And I'm not gonna change it until you get the lesson out of it. Here is what I want some of y'all to know. Some of your wilderness has lasted longer than it should have because God is trying to be sure you don't have to repeat once you come out of it. Everybody shout, I'm gonna learn the lesson this time. I'm going to extract every principle out of the season that's necessary to get me to my next, because I don't want to be here forever, y'all. When we got off the plane for the first time in Tucson, Arizona, it was 116 degrees outside. Now, when I went there, it was still, winter, early spring. The weather was amazing. I said, I can't wait for Fanika to get here. And I forgot I was moving her in June. We got off the plane, and y'all want to know, see, this is just how God worked. Y'all want to know how God did us. We got off the plane. They didn't even have the tunnel. We had to get off and walk on cement. And Fanika, what did you look at me and say? I have 5 years and no more in me here.
She looked at me. She didn't call me bae. She said, brother, you got 5 years here.
I did say brother.
I said, so, now we're just brother and sister in Christ? So now I'm not boo no more. I'm not your man. I'm not. She said, brother, you got 5 years. And hear me, at year 3, Fanika was ready to go, right? The only reason we stayed was because the lesson had not been extracted. But I promise y'all, almost to the month and day that she arrived, what happened? 5 years later.
We left, but let me just back up. The 2 things that I learned in that. So I ended up taking over the worship department. That was praise team, choir, dancers, everything. And then I started doing the funerals. I would have to meet with the families and all of that. And I kept saying, well, God, why would you put, this is kind of extreme. And I mean, Our church, probably the median age was probably 67 years old.
When we got there, yeah.
When we got there, we were the youngest couple. We were the youngest pastors they had ever gotten. And, you know, of course, by the time we ended, there was a lot of young people that came. But I couldn't understand why the Lord really put us in that area. And what the Lord said, I have to show you how to worship in a dry place. I have to show you how to worship in a literal desert. And I started understanding that was where my supply was. And when I began to worship in that dry place, instead of complaining, because for the first 3 years I was only complaining.
Now, how many of y'all been complaining about your wilderness? Just raise your hand. How many of y'all- Now, God, you know. Now, God, I've been good. Now, God, as faithful as I've been. Now, God, I go to church every Sunday. God, my Bible app, I got 533 days I've read my scripture every day. God, why are you leaving me in this? What did you just say?
The second thing was compassion on a whole nother level. To have to walk with families through something such as death and be in hospital rooms, and I just saw way maybe too much death than I think about, but it taught me really what a pastor was, because this is easy, but it taught me really how to get out there with the people. And I don't know if I ever got that lesson after me. I was the one that had to go to do all the hospital visits.
Yeah. And I'll never forget this. I'm going to tie all this together. I'm going to take you right back to the scripture. God, I think God also took us to the wilderness. The wilderness was all about you, Nick. No, I'm just kidding, man. It was partial. It was for both of us. But here was the part, and I'll never forget this. Y'all, I was up preaching one day, and this woman was trying to get her husband's attention in the choir stand. She found out he was cheating. And mother.
She thought he was cheating.
No, he was. It was verified shortly thereafter. I ain't about to lie for the sermon. Yeah, there was some infidelity in the mix. Mother decided to come to church with no undergarments on. And Flash said, "Man," the whole time the choir was singing.
This is a true story.
Now, in this setup, I'm not sitting off to the side. No. You know, this is a Baptist church. I'm sitting in the pulpit. So what she's trying to show her man, I'm getting a full eye view of too. And I'm like, Lord, I didn't come here for this. This is not what I came for. I didn't come to church to get flashed the whole time. Somehow they got this woman out of the building.
She asked to speak to me outside.
And I don't know why she would ask to speak to my wife. Like out of all the women, seasoned saints, if you will, in the building, why she would ask to speak to my wife. Go ahead, Vanika.
And I get outside, and she is accusing me of covering for her husband. And she proceeds to want to fight me. And I said, if it's a fight you want, it's a fight you're going to get. And today, our church was 210 East Leicester Street. I said, I don't know what made you come to 210 East Leicester today, baby. I took my earrings off because we was Baptist. I had my shiny suit on. I took my earrings off, and I said, I'm going to give you one more chance to leave. Because when the cops come, they ain't coming for you. I promise you they're going to come for me. And the cops came, and they did come for me. And so we're going to just scoot past that. But she learned that day to never come to 210.
Who goes to go get the pastor's wife in adversity? Who? And I already told them she's not wrapped. There's a couple cards missing. I've been looking for them for years. All right, so then after this, this is honest to God truth. Which we blotted out some of the story, but it was after that. That God began to deal with Vanika about being fully bought in. So when I came to talk to Vanika about moving back to the South, she lit up. I mean, like a Christmas tree. I shouldn't even say Christmas tree right now. I got a couple people to rebuke before the day is over. But if y'all send my wife one more DM, I ain't gonna call your name, I'm just gonna look in your direction. If y'all send my wife one more DM with Christmas ideas, and y'all looking at me, we're gonna send them anyway. Anyway, so listen. she lit up like a Christmas tree when I told her we were moving back to the South. And then I told her we were coming to Atlanta, Georgia. I said, how do you feel about Atlanta? And Fanika is so anti-big city. Fanika grew up, she tells everybody Selma. She wasn't in Selma. She was in an area called Beloit, B-E-L-O-I-T. The city was so small, her grandfather was the president of the city. Not mayor, not councilman.
President.
The president. There was a sign when you were driving to the city, and it said, Finest Harris, president. I said, what in the witchcraft have I walked into in Beloit, Alabama, where they got a dang president of a city? So Fanika loves small towns. I'm anti. It's like opposites attract. I love big cities. And when we started praying about moving to Atlanta, I felt the hand of God on it immediately. What shocked me was that Fanika felt the hand of God on it as well. Fanika said, I feel like we're supposed to be in Atlanta. Now, here's how she played me though. Let me just sprinkle this in. This is all going with the message. We pivoted from Tucson to Atlanta, Georgia. Everybody shout pivot. When we made this pivot, I let Fanika pick the place where we're going to live. I'm thinking high rise, if you will. I'm thinking maybe not downtown, midtown-ish, somewhere, close to the city. Nah. Fanika picks the utmost corner of Lawrenceville, Georgia. And I say utmost for a reason, because there's parts of Lawrenceville that you right on 85. That's not what she picked. It was a 25-minute commute just to get to the interstate. When you would drive past our house, you would see cows, fresh eggs. Those are her favorite thing.
That's important.
She was like, I could get fresh eggs whenever I want to. Never bought one, mind you. She just wanted to be close enough where she could see them. Never bought a fresh egg in her life. Y'all, I promise y'all, all of this is in the message. So we pivoted from what God grew us in to a place we had never been before. We had visited Atlanta, but Atlanta was uncharted territory. All we knew was that we had a word from God to come to the city of Atlanta and to do the work of ministry. And let me tell you something. Atlanta, I would say, was the best move we've ever made in ministry, in life.
I agree.
Atlanta is the most stable place we've ever lived. We've lived in Tulsa, we've lived in Chattanooga, we've lived in Huntsville, we've lived in Tucson. But when we made this move to Atlanta, it was the place where it felt like our roots finally got to get in the ground. When we started with, and again, I'm about to share a whole lot with y'all, so y'all just take a deep breath, just rock with me for a few moments. When we started the work with All Nations Atlanta, I knew unequivocally that the hand of the Lord was on it. Some of my, where are my day ones, like day ones? I got a few in the room that's been with me since 2016, like 2016, 2017 when we moved to the city. And we knew unequivocally that it was the hand of God. It was some of the most powerful times we had in ministry. We watched God do a lot of stuff as All Nations. So in 2020, when God started speaking to me about making a pivot, and I'm saying 2020 for me, because it happened for Fanika far before me. When did God start talking to you about pivoting?
End of 2018 going into 2019 now.
I hadn't figured out why God always talked to our wives before he talked to us. Is there any other husband in the room that understand what I'm saying? Like, your wife will have insight and you're like, nah, you miss God. And then 18 months later, it's like, God, dog, I got to go let my pride die because God knows she was right? So end of, August 2020, I hired Pastor Brittany Morton. Brittany, I saw her running around doing hoops and loops somewhere. We moved Brittany from Huntsville to Atlanta to help us run the church while we took a sabbatical. And what was supposed to be a 6 week sabbatical turned into 4 months. A matter of fact, when we left, we never went back. September, we took our time away. And then November, I made probably one of the hardest decisions of my life. And that decision was to pivot from All Nations and to start Belong Church. Right. I was excited about that pivot. But I didn't realize that pivot was going to have that much pain attached to it too. I didn't realize that following God in this was going to make me lose everything I had before. It's easy to pivot with God when you're secure in what he's going to do next. It's difficult to pivot when you've built to the best of your abilities and in one day everything shifts. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And we make a decision to leave the reason why we came to Atlanta and follow the voice of God to do something different. And I want to be honest with y'all this morning. It's taken me 3 years to really realize how difficult, how challenging, and really be able to even confess how painful of a pivot it was. So I did what I know how to do best. If there's anything that God has given me grace to do, I know I've got the ability to build something that matters, right? When God started Belong Church, I knew without a shadow of a doubt, I knew it was the voice of God, but I didn't realize I was gonna have to build and be in pain simultaneously. I didn't realize I was going to have to lead and grieve at the same time. I didn't have full understanding that what God was doing in us, in our family, and even in a new church was carving a path that was uncharted for us. We had started a church before surrounded by support, but this time it was a lot different. We were in a pandemic. Nobody was coming out for real. Y'all, everybody was masked up. I was the only one flying. I was the only one acting like we wasn't in a pandemic. I was on a flight every week. I'm like, this is amazing. Ain't nobody on here. I ain't even got to upgrade to first class. I could be in coach and stretch out, right? It was just amazing. But I was one of the few people outside. So I had to try to start building and learning people at a distance, while my heart still didn't trust everything that I was in at the same time. I don't think I've ever talked about this openly. This is not something I've shared, especially on a Sunday morning, but I had difficulty connecting with people at the depth that was necessary to build something that was going to last, because my heart was extremely guarded because of the injury from the last season. How many of y'all know what it's like to put walls around your heart just because, I trust me and that's what I know I can do. Like I trust myself and I don't appreciate all the support that's coming. But we went from, those of you all that have been with Belong since the beginning of our journey, we started in a white box. We went to a black box. We started on the couch. Matter of fact, that's why the couch is out here today. Our very first service as Belong Church was on a couch in my living room. I was playing a YouTube video through Zoom for worship. And then when the YouTube video cut out, I came on the screen and I literally taught for 3 or 4 weeks. We went through a healing series, the very first thing we did, right? And we did this for a month on my couch before we started pre-recording services in these different spaces. Then we landed at the Riverside Epicenter. How many of y'all jumped on the boat at the Riverside Epicenter? How many of y'all started coming? Like when we first went live there, Riverside Epicenter was life-changing. That was the pivot. We pivoted. Matter of fact, this is why everybody needs a good favor. Man, I don't want to leave these parts out. When we started Belong, and I was in the middle of transitioning out of All Nations, I made a declaration to Belong that we were going to forever be a virtual church. That was my declaration. I said, we're going to be an online church. This is the way things are going. This is the way the world is moving. We're going to be online only. That was my declaration. And after that first night I made that declaration, Fanika came to me, and y'all, I was real tender. Just pray for me. My heart was real tender. She said, I'm with you no matter what God says, but I think you miss God on that. Y'all, the level of offense that rose in my heart. I know, let's just be honest. How many of y'all, the spouses in here, your spouse ever said something to you and an offense was the first thing that came up in y'all like, I know you lying. Like, you didn't listen to me pour my heart out to these people all night. And what? Now, don't y'all, cameraman, don't y'all get nobody in trouble today. Don't. I'm coming to a close, y'all. Offense rose up in my heart. She says, the Lord is not going to let it stay like this forever. And when it opens back up, people are going to need community. They're going to need to be in spaces where they can worship freely and be loved. And then had the audacity to call Pastor Darlene, to get Pastor Darlene to co-sign and consent and say, Pastor Fanika, that's the same thing I'm hearing from the Lord, but we're going to have to let Pastor go through his I'm like, no, y'all not about to deep and wonderful me. No, y'all not going to make it like I ain't the spiritual one right now. And that's exactly what it was. I wasn't spiritual at all. I was building in pain. And when you build in pain, you build to protect yourself.
And let me just add this. The Lord also told me to tell you that he was going to send beauty in the form of people.
He did.
And I said, how is he going to send you the beauty in form of people and you only want to be on the screen? That's not what God said. So in order to get beauty, and I think today you see beauty.
I mean, today is beautiful.
In the form of people.
Today is beautiful.
Yeah.
But y'all don't know, y'all was going to be behind the screen for the rest of your life. Y'all was all going to be belongers online, right? We started services at the Riverside Epicenter. We did our Belongers weekend where we just had like a big party, a culmination, if you will, of people coming from all over the country. The Davis family flew in from California, made up their mind that weekend. They was moving to Georgia. Like literally, God did so much in that weekend, and we started doing services every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks at the Riverside Epicenter. We did that for about 9 months. I thank God every week, every day, for that team and that staff, Adam, the whole team at Riverside Epicenter that just gave us space. They said, we believe in the God in you. And for me, that was a hard thing to swallow because I wasn't sure if I believed in the God in me. I knew I heard God when he said pivot. But when the pivot wasn't looking like what he said, I started asking myself, did I miss? Like, I lost every relationship that I had prior to making the change, literally went down the drain almost overnight. People whose lives I had funded walked away. People who I had led through crisis dipped in the middle of mine. And I'm like, maybe I missed God. Yeah, are y'all, is anybody like maybe God, maybe I missed you, right? So the opportunity came for us to come to 210 Paulding Lane. Never forget it. Fanika and the girls were coming back from Alabama. They drove I-20 this way, and Fanika put the address in the GPS. The girls came by this building, laid their hands on it. They prayed for it, and I was still on the edge because I'm like, I don't know if I want to see people every week yet. But I just want to be honest with y'all, and I need y'all to hear like this part of it. Like, God, I'm not sure I'm ready to see people every week. I'm not sure if I'm ready to have to hug necks every week and go out and smile. I'm not sure my heart can handle it just yet.
But that's why the Lord told the prophet Samuel, how long are you going to mourn?
Now see what you're not gonna do on this stage right now. Take your hand off. What you're not gonna.
And so what happens in those moments of grief? It lets you know it has to have an expiration date, because when you mourn too long, you will make decisions off of appearance.
Yeah.
And he almost tried to anoint the wrong king off of what he saw because his heart was hurting. And so you almost said, let's just bypass 210 Paulding Lane because of where your heart was. And I had to come to you and say it, but how long?
And that's exactly what you did.
It is.
I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you, y'all. That's really what happened.
And so for some of you, even today, that have been dealing with that, I want that to be the question you ask yourself. How long am I going to grieve over this? It has robbed me of too much. It has taken too much from me. It has taken sleep from me. How long will you let this rob you of what can be when the Lord wants to send beauty to your life? But you're mourning something that the Lord has departed from. He had already said he had departed from it. Yeah. And you know it. You couldn't resuscitate that thing if you was the best doctor. Jesus. Because if God wants it dead, he wants it dead. So how long? How long? These was questions I even had to ask myself as a person who come from abuse. How long am I going to say this is with my and I'm this big age? What do I need to do to heal and to move forward? Because it's robbing me of too much stuff. So how long? How long? It has an expiration date. And when you do not, what happens when food expires and you still try to eat it? It don't taste right. It can make you sick. It can do all types of things. And that's such is life. Yeah. When it makes you sick when we go past the expiration date over grief and over something that the Lord has departed from.
You said something I just want the room to declare. Now you just say it with your chest. My grief has an expiration date. You're not going to grieve over this longer than you should. Y'all, so we came to 210 Paulding Lane. Pastor Anthony Murray and Oasis Church were literal godsends for us. And coming to Dallas for me, and I want y'all to hear me as I say this, was safe. It was safe because it was outside of the city. I'm in a suburb. I'm tucked away. I ain't got to see nobody I don't want to see. I'm tucked away and I'm right here. But what also made it safe was the name of the church before we came here was Oasis. And in many respects, it became an oasis of healing for me. This is the space in this last year and some change where my heart has had the ability to start trusting again, to start building again. I think probably the last 6 months with my staff and volunteers, maybe 4 months, has been some of the most fruitful and transparent and very honest times. We have sat in rooms and cried. I've given them the word of the Lord. They've turned around and given the same to me. And it's been an opportunity for just an entire reset. With that reset, how many of y'all were with us in August when we went into our time of fasting? Y'all, August, we started fasting and praying. We said, God, y'all didn't know this, but I was praying because I'm like, God, we need to know what's next for this church. Like, what are you doing? And how many of y'all have ever prayed? You got your little prayer points. You got your little timeline. We said we're going to pray from the middle of August until August the 31st. And by then, God is going to answer. 6 a.m. pour was born out of our time of prayer. Like, the whole reason we got 6 a.m. pour now was because in August we decided we were going to pray together, right? And August 31st came, and guess what? God didn't say nothing. How many of y'all ever been mad at God? It's like, now, God, I done gave up Starbucks for 3 weeks. Some of y'all maybe, God, I done gave up the pepper, that's a doctor, for 3 weeks. And you ain't said nothing, right? And so I'll never forget, we're on 6 a.m. pour coming to the end of the fast. I'm like, guys, if we keep this going, y'all gonna stay on with me? And everybody's like, we with you, Pastor. We in there. We go. If you get up at 6 a.m., we're gonna be right here with you. And lo and behold, we still doing 6 a.m. prayer to this day because of that. September came, and we're just praying. I'm not even looking for an answer now. Just praying. We're just doing our piece, and I'm just trusting God. We get to the end of September, and I receive a phone call from Pastor Murray. And in the phone call, we're talking about direction for the future. When we came to this property, we came to it under a lease to own opportunity. But when he calls me into this meeting, he's speaking with what feels like just some levels of insight. He was like, it's very honest, just very forthcoming with where our situations are with both he and I. And he said, Pastor, if God has called you to be in Dallas, I'm going to do everything I can to push and support you to be there. He said, but there's a part of me that knows you're supposed to be in the city of Atlanta, and I don't even know what that looks like. What he didn't know was that the whole time we've been fasting and praying, God's been bringing back to my remembrance the whole reason he sent us to the city to begin with. I had no idea that somebody I had never talked to about our placement was going to be able to spin the block like that and be able to say almost verbatim the pieces that God had been dealing with me and with us about. So this month of October, we have been in prayer as a leadership team. I brought people in to give consultation, to give advice and give direction and give directive. And there's something today that I just want to share with you all very quickly. I just want you to turn to the video monitors for just a moment.
Because for many of us, we have been afraid to make the next step. Because the next step means I lost everything that was in my last one. But what God is saying over you is that if you trust me, you may lose it, but you're going to find yourself. You may lose everything you thought you needed, but you'll find out that what you needed, really you did not need. It needed you. I don't know about anybody else. I would rather lose it all than find me. Don't dilute your destiny. Do everything that God has put in your heart, because the grave should not inherit one single dream, vision, destiny, or call from God.
Belong. Welcome to the pivot.
It's about to get real good, real fast, and we're about to watch the hand of God at work in all that he's called us to do in North Atlanta High School. I am excited. New space, same vision, same God. We're believing we're going to see his hand at work in a way that exceeds our wildest imagination. Come on, welcome to the big.
So we've made the decision to do a holy pivot. And we made this pivot with wanting to see God's will revealed in what he's called us to do, but also keeping in mind everyone that God has sent us over this last year. Paulding County has been absolutely amazing to us. We've got people in Dallas, in Hiram, in Villa Rica that have come in, that have served, that are giving their heart. And I ask God, how can we make this move and this pivot, thank you, this pivot and make it painless as possible for all parties involved. Now, I just want to say this. There are men and women in this room that every single week drive an hour plus to be right here. Where y'all at? I just want y'all to shout real quick. Drive an hour plus because they believe in what God's called Belong to do. When God gave us the vision and the insight for North Atlanta High School, I said, God, I don't want to just go into a school to go into a school. I want to go into a school that we can partner with to make impact in the community. I want to be able to do some things I haven't been able to do yet. But I believe that if we make this right and we do this right, not only are you going to be with it, but you're going to give us a way to serve community that you've called us to in a brand new way. Guys, this has been probably one of the easiest processes in getting into a school that's very difficult to get into. It's a hot commodity. We have had favor with administration, principals, athletic directors, the whole 9 yards. And what happens in a pivot like this is that our foot is still planted in God. It's the same church, new location, but it's the same God. And God is going to be with us. But I need y'all to hear me as I say this. I know unequivocally God has called us to the city of Atlanta. Like this. It's not a shadow of a doubt. God gave me 210 Paulding Lane because he needed my heart to heal. Because my heart couldn't have handled Atlanta broken. What this place and what you all don't know, what you all have done every week out in that atrium, out in the foyer, every hug, every kind word, every week you've shown up and supported. Y'all don't know. I hadn't been able to say openly in 3 years. I've got my confidence back. I'm not afraid anymore. Got my strength back. I haven't been able to say it in a long time. But God used y'all out here, right here at 210 Paulding Lane, to be the vehicles to help my strength come back. And we are not going back to the city to say we've taken over. We're going back to the city to do our part for revival to come, for lives to be changed, to do what that wall says. Every person needs a place. We're simply going to be able to do that in North Atlanta High School. So guys, starting January the 21st, 2024, we are going to be worshiping in North Atlanta High School. This may be on a Sunday, 30 minutes from this spot, just going back towards the city. A lot of you all who have served and served well and driven miles and hours. I cannot say thank you enough for believing in me when I didn't have belief in myself. Thank you for showing up consistently and faithfully. And for a lot of you all, I'm glad to cut 30 minutes off of your commute on a Sunday morning. For those of you that are right here in this area, and you know that God has called you to be a part of this church, that were never married to an address, but you knew that when you came, God connected your heart with belong. I wanted to make it easy enough for you to still be connected to what God is doing. And so guys, I want to say this. Sunday, December the 10th is our last service at 210 Paulding Lane. That's the last time we'll gather like this at 210 Paulding Lane. On that Sunday, we're anointing it as 210 Sunday. I want to ask something that in years past I would have had an issue asking, but today I don't. I believe the way that we leave a thing is the way we walk into the next. 210 Sunday, I'm asking everyone to bring a seed of $210. We're about to sow seed into where God is going. Now, I need y'all to hear this. The $250,000 that was given to us by Transformation Church, we have literally paid off every outstanding debt that the church has. No. I need to say it again. We have paid off every outstanding debt of the church. We are pivoting debt-free. No. I need y'all got to grab. I said we're pivoting debt-free. There ain't nothing over our head as we go into our next. So what we're going to do is we're going to put seed into what God is pivoting us into next. For some of y'all, that's going to be $210. For some of us, it's going to be $2,100. I just wanted something in the increments of 210. We're going to bring a faith seed together on December the 10th as we worship here. I'm asking everyone, sow into what God's about to do next, because you all see a lot of lights and walls and all this stuff in here. There's a lot of stuff in these next 5 weeks. There's some stuff we're going to be sowing into other churches. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all. I didn't tell y'all that part. Everything that's in the building, we get to take with us. Let me make that a little bit more clear. Every seat that we've sat in, every seat that's stored up in the gym, every light fixture, all of our nursery stuff next door, we didn't have any of this when we came in, but we're leaving out with... No. Y'all got to get the principle. Everybody shout, I'm leaving out better. Like it, I'm leaving one, but I'm going better into the next, right? So we're going to have some days where we're asking you all to come out and help us pack. I can go ahead and tell you all Sunday, December the 17th. Everyone who can, I'm going to ask y'all to come right back here with us. I'm going to do a small service. We were pre-recording services for everyone online. I'm going to do a small, probably a little bit more intimate service with us here. And on the 12th of December, we're having a huge packing day. We're getting every chair, December 17th. Yep, December 17th. We're having a huge packing day. We're getting everything out in that foyer. Our movers are coming on the 19th. We're going to have everything out here before Christmas. Before Christmas come, we gonna be ready to go, all right? So everybody can enjoy the holidays. But here's what I need from y'all. This next move is gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a lot. This is different. We've never been this way before. And it's gonna be different. Next Saturday, the 11th, I am hosting a volunteer training to prepare what has been our Belong Coast. We're rebranding as our Dream Team. Next Saturday is for the Dream Team. If you want to volunteer, if you want to serve, if you want to partner with what we're about to do next by way of service, I want to invite you out next Saturday at 11 a.m. As a matter of fact, let me walk y'all through this. How can you contribute to what's about to happen next? Tell your neighbor real quick, pray. Like if you don't do anything else, I'm asking for your prayers. This is the biggest thing we've done as Belong, and it's the hugest faith step. I'm asking for your prayers. Number 2, you can stay connected to what we're doing. You can text BELONGATL to 94,000, and that'll keep you in the loop of everything that's happening as we make these moves. Every text blast that goes out, you'll see it. You can serve, you can commit. One, we're going to serve well as we leave here, but we're going into our next place ready to serve. And so we're going to need more hands than we've had before. We're going to need more hearts than what we've had before. And finally, you can give. You can text BELONGATL to 77977. You can actually text that right now. And there's an option for 210 Sunday. Some of you all may not wait until December the 10th to give, but you can go ahead and give now. But finally, and here's the last thing, we're done.